The Last of Us video game is my favorite video game of all time. Part 2 doesn't quite reach the same level of the game, but it's still a really great sequel to follow up that first game. And now we have the next season of The Last of Us TV show that is adapting that game. So let's talk about it. This review is completely spoiler-free for the stuff that has not happened yet. Everything in episode 1 I might dive into, but everything that has not happened yet I will not talk about. Which I do have to jump around a few things I have to say about this episode because of that reason, but I still want to talk about this, so let's talk about it. I loved everything they did with this episode. This episode is absolutely fantastic. It just proves why The Last of Us Season 1 worked so well. In my opinion, The Last of Us Season 1 is still a great TV show, but it's missing what was in the game that made it so special, and that's why it just feels off to me. When we get into Season 2, that problem's not there. I feel like this episode, reminder, it's just the first episode, but I feel like this episode proved they fixed a lot of problems with Season 1, because I feel like this episode felt more like the game. Yes, it introduced new plot lines and such, but it was still the video game. It felt like the video game. Like I said, Season 1 felt like it was missing something, but judging from the first episode of this season, that something that's missing is no longer missing in here, and I love this episode. We're setting up all these different storylines with the infected, Joel, Abby, Ellie. All this episode is setting up storylines for future episodes. We get the introduction of Abby, we get the introduction to the new infected too, we get Joel and Ellie's relationship with each other and where that's at in this episode. And compared to what they did with the game, like I said, I'm not going to spoil anything, but the game told the story differently. And I like how the show is actually telling it in the way I feel like the game should have told it. That will make more sense if you played the game. Because there's certain events in this episode that don't happen or needed to happen in the game for other stuff to be really fleshed out at the beginning of the game. Because for me, the beginning of the game is pretty weak because we're missing a bunch of context. And I feel like this episode kind of showed that context that we were missing. And everyone is giving a fantastic performance. Pedro Pascal also brings his own version to Joel that is still the video game, but is also still Pedro Pascal. And it's not copying and pasting exactly what was done in the video game. And I like that, because Pedro Pascal is Joel ripped right out of the game, but with his own spin to the character. And he still continues to show that dad side of Joel, as we see in this episode of him bonding over Tommy's kid. We see that Joel is just a dad. That's why the first season of the show works so well with Joel's and Ellie's relationship with each other, that dad and daughter relationship. That's why that season works so well. And this season continued to prove Joel is still a dad, and Pedro Pascal was able to capture that. And then we go on to Ellie. In my opinion, Bella took a huge step up from what she did in Season 1 and improved on her acting skills in here. Now, Season 1, I loved her acting. But when you compare it to the video game, that's when you get all that other stuff confused, and that's where the fans get mad at. This episode, I feel like I didn't have that complaint at all. I feel like she was able to bring Ellie perfectly into screen and match the character perfectly in her own way as well, just like Pedro Pascal would. And for Abby, I don't know the actress's name, but just the brief moments that we have with her shows the audience, this is the Abby that we want. We can see exactly why she was casted, and I can't wait to see more of her character. And we're still getting those emotional moments. The Last of Us is known for its emotional moments. We get that in the first season, and we're getting that in the second season. We see Joel's therapy section, where he's talking about what he did in the past, why him and Ellie aren't on the best terms right now. And you just kind of feel that for Joel. And the second season is going to be a lot more gut-wrenching than the first season. And we're just slowly building that out. Now, this is where I would talk about my problems with the episode, but I don't have any problems with the episode. From someone who has played the game, this was a perfect adaptation that they could have done. I think this episode is really good. Is it the best episode out of the entire show? No. But from game to screen, this was a great adaptation. And I can't wait to see what they're going to do for the rest of the show, because I can't wait to see how they adapt certain plot lines, especially how they set some of them up in this episode. I can't wait to see where the story actually continues on. With the new plotlines and the original plotline, I can't wait to see where both of these storylines go. Because this episode just set up everything, and I'm excited just to see what's going to happen next. But I can't give the episode a 10 out of 10 because it's not the full season. It's just this episode. I can't give an episode a 10 out of 10 without knowing how the rest of the show goes. So, I'm giving it a 9.5 out of 10. But granted, I love this episode, and from a gamer's perspective, this was everything I wanted and more. I won't review the show weekly, so come back at the end of May to hear my thoughts on the entirety of Season 2. But with that, thanks for watching, and see you guys next time. Goodbye.